Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the KSS Kerbal Prize. Its ongoing mission to seek out strange new worlds, to seek out new places to crash and provoke the Kraken, to boldly go where no Kerbal has been before. And my there we are, look at that. Good evening all. This is Draken on Draken-Game-Werks. This is Kerbal Space Program. So people have been, it's probably seen my last couple of feeds, I've been doing Elder Scrolls Online, but tonight I thought I would do something a bit different. I'll go and play the other big game that I like playing a lot, and that's Kerbal Space Program. And what I thought I would do tonight is not make strange, wonderful little ships like this one here, which now doesn't want to actually work properly, but to actually go and start a brand new career in Kerbal, and we'll start it from scratch and just run through a feed together on that one. So I'm going to quit out of actually my wonderful little enterprise model I made in the sandbox mode, and we'll start it all from fresh. So if we go back to the main menu, okay, yeah, back to main menu. Right, so Kerbal Space Program. The aim of Kerbal Space Program, for those who don't know, is to administer your own space program for these Kerbals that live on this world that you see in front of us rotating in the background. When you start a new game, you have a bunch of options you can do. You can do sandbox mode, which is purely just go out there, build rockets, try and fly around. Then you've got science mode, where the aim is to get science, and then there's career mode, which is the full mode, where you've got to try and make sure you've got your funds, you've got to build up your science, build up reputation, and just keep proceeding forward in that way. For some reason, my camera doesn't seem to have activated today, so I will try and see if we can get that active, but my camera is a bit off today. But that's alright, we can have a look at that in a bit. But, right, so let's start a brand new career. So we're going to call it, if I can spell, Draken Space Works. Because, you know, Draken Works being the band, and Draken-Game-Werks being the channel, might as well call it Draken Space Works. And somewhere in here, I should have, there we are, there are no mods in this game, but I did import my own logo into it. So we're going to run it without mods. This game can play with mods, and there are a lot of amazing mods for this game. But that said, I want to play it without mods this time through. This is version 1.4.3, which recently came out. 1.4 was quite a major update for Kerbal Space Program. I also have the expansion on there, the Making History expansion, which adds a bunch of other parts there, as well as various other things they've added into the game. But 1.4.3 has a few more little modifications and tweaks in there just to improve it over, and we're going to start a career in that mode. We'll start it on normal difficulty, and let's go and start. Right, okay, there we are. So, Kerbal Space Program, nice to meet you. I am Gene Kerbin, Flight Director, and your guide for this quick introduction. This is the Space Center. From here, you can manage all aspects of the space program. It's not a very big space center at the moment. It's still got a lot of development to go, but still, feel free to have a look around. Hold the right mouse button to move the camera, or use the arrow keys. Right-click over the Space Center facilities to view more about them, and left-click when you're ready to head inside. If you need more information, check out the training section on the main menu. Thanks, I got it. Yep, brilliant, excellent. So, okay, this is what's called the Kerbal Space Center. This is the main place where you build rockets and design it. In career mode, it's just essentially where everything gets put together. And you start off with these very basic buildings, and you're going to have to use money to upgrade them when you want to start building bigger rockets and getting more things together. Now, before we begin anywhere, the first thing we want to do is go and check out Mission Control. And it's from Mission Control where you get in career mode, and it's only in career mode, you get these missions that drop through. And these missions are basically like, you say if you're playing an MMO, it's your quests. And it's ways in which you can gain one of the free resources that exist in the game. And the free resources you can get include, you've got money up there, which obviously you need that to be able to pay for your astronauts. You need that to be able to build your rockets, because your rockets are all going to cost money. And also to upgrade buildings and repair buildings if you accidentally destroy them, as sometimes happens in Kerbal Space Program. Oops. Next to that, you've got reputation. I will be perfectly honest, I never really work out what reputation is mainly for. You always seem to gain it and get it. I don't know whether it's just that you get better missions and more prestigious missions, which give you more money and more science from them, or what. But yeah, I just always, every time I've ever played Kerbal Space Program, I've tended to ignore reputation. If anyone knows what it's for, feel free to let us know. I mean, this video is going to go up on YouTube afterwards, so just drop it down in the comments if you know what it's for. Tell me about it. And then we also have science, which is the way we progress, because you start off with very little technology, and as you go through and do more scientific discoveries, you can then develop bigger and better rockets and more modules to build your rockets from. And so that's the two biggest resources we're really going to be looking for. Is going to be money and science, and that's what we need for that. Right, okay, so we have a number of missions here. Now, at the moment, we can take, as it says here, a maximum of 2 contracts. So we're going to want to launch our first vessel. Probably is going to be one of the first best ones to get. So we'll take that one. And then we need to gather scientific data from Kerbin. So where's it want it? Recover or transmit any scientific experiment data from Kerbin to achieve this goal. And we'll get a bit extra money from that one as well. And what quite often happens, you'll notice with these quests in Kerbal, is that you'll get an advance as well. So you'll notice my money went up when I took the mission. But then there's also, on a lot of them, a penalty if you then decide to abandon it after you've taken the mission. Now, you can actually get rid of some of the contracts, depending if they're actually main game contracts or not, in the right here by clicking on the red X that you see next to the tick. So you can see I'm highlighting the tick, and next to it there's red X. This is a mainstay mission, so you can't actually get rid of it, but you can click it then without penalty. But if you click tick and then get rid of it, then yeah, you'll have some penalties for doing that. So let's take that one as well, and it's going to want us to launch our first vessel and gather a load of scientific data. Hopefully the audio levels aren't too bad here. I'm noticing my game is quite loud at the moment, so I will possibly just tweak it, because I'm having difficulty hearing myself think on this one as well. So let's just take the audio volume, and I just want to drop the master volume down a little bit, just so it's not so loud in my ears. We'll resume. That's a little bit better. Right, okay, no worries. So we have our first mission. We already start off with a couple of Kerbal nauts. They're basically Kerbal's version of astronauts, so we will don't have to worry about getting any astronauts. But this vehicle building here, the one that dominates the center, that's our vehicle assembly building. And when we go into here, this is where we get to build our first space rockets. I could have read that out, but I dismissed it. He's basically telling us about the VAB and how we build rockets. I've played Kerbal quite a few times, so I actually know how to do it. So if we bring up, click on there, that will enable us to bring up a nice little space pod. And my right mouse button seems to have stopped working, or working so efficiently, which is a bit odd, because I had problems on this trackable the other day, and it was my left mouse button was having a problem. Now there we are, that's better. So it definitely seems to be having problems. So this is a one-man little capsule that will take people up there. We will put the lights on, because just in case it gets dark out, we want to be able to see it. And we can see my flag on the side there as well. Right, okay. Now at this stage, there's not a lot we actually have. So the only engine we can put on the bottom is this solid fuel booster called the Flea. It's a tiny little thing. Let's stick it on there. Now solid fuel boosters, for those who don't know, are basically a giant firework. Once you activate them, you can't turn them off until they've run out of fuel. You can't adjust their speeds or anything else. They're really good for your initial first staging, because it's just to get you up there. After that, they're not much use. They're not very efficient beyond there. So at the moment, we just have our first solid state booster, which would be, this is all well and good here, but it might be an idea to pop some fins on, I think. So we'll pop some around there, just so that we can try and keep it a little bit stable during flight. Let's have a look what else we got here. We're doing communications. We do need to get some science though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 of these, and we're going to take these up on a journey with us. We'll put those on the side there. That's good. And then the most important thing is it might be a good idea to put a parachute on the top there, because we don't want to come crashing back down and kill the Kerbal. Hopefully, it does happen in Kerbal Space Program, and we will get to give it a name. So what shall we call it? We shall call it, well, we're on a Flea booster, so we'll call it the Flea. One, because it is so tiny. and then we can go to launch. Actually, before we launch, down in the bottom right there is something called staging, so we need to actually make sure that's correct, and this is the order in which you activate things when you're actually doing it around here. And at the moment it's got our booster and our parachute on the same thing together, so we want to separate that because we don't want the parachute to deploy as soon as we hit the booster bit. Right, okay, let's go to launch. So as we go through, so yes, Kerbal Space Program is basically you are the director of a space program that's trying to take Kerbals into their first steps into space. You control everything, so from everything from the buildings to flying the actual ships itself to its development. There's a science side of things. That's what we do. As you can see, my launch pad is nothing more at the moment than a bit of dirt at just a little bit of hopefully safe enough distance away from all the rest of the buildings. And what we want to do is right click. Yeah, my right click has definitely gone on my trackable. That's not a great thing. We want to right click on there, and that's going to give us some research. I'm going to keep the experimental data because we want to bring it all back. By keeping the data and bringing it back, we get a lot more science than if we just transmitted it. I can't remember if there's an aerial built into this, possibly, but we'll have a look at that. And yeah, my right click is definitely gone. Now you see this happened on my very first stream with ESO the other day, and the left click went on it, so I think I am definitely going to have to start looking at investing in a new trackable. So I'm going to unplug it, as you can hear in the background there. I'm going to put in a mouse instead. I much prefer running from trackable, but obviously my trackable has just decided, as I decided to start doing streaming the other day on Saturday, that it wants to play up. That's great. Okay, while I'm here, actually, let's just have a look and see if I can reactivate. Bear with me one moment. I am going to try and see if I can bring back my camera, because my camera seems to have stopped working for some obscure reason. So I'm going to try and get that back and running again as well. Not that I'm sure maybe you want to see my ugly mug on the screen, but we will give it a try. No, it's not showing up there. Everything going wrong for this first launch of Kerbal Space Program. Hopefully the rocket won't go wrong as well, but let's have a look. Just quickly do that and that. And aha, we do have me. Probably don't need me quite that large up there, so we will move me down into the corner there. There we are, that's better. You can now see me. Hello. That's me now. So, right, let's get back to the program, and let's actually try and launch our first rocket. That's better. I actually have a moving mouse, so okay. What I need to do is I also want a crew report, because the crew can also just do their own general observations of what's going around in here. It says you record the crew's assessment of the situation, which at the moment is pretty much just sitting on the launch pad. You can take assessments all the way through, but you can only carry one piece of experiment from each type of experiment at a time. Though if you have multiple versions of the experiment, then you can obviously use it several times that way. So I'm going to keep that experiment. We are going to have our first launch from here, and just by hitting spacebar, we ignite that tiny little solid booster and head up to space. And while we're doing that, we might as well check on the goo. And it tells us the goo jiggles and wobbles as the craft flies. Okay, we'll keep that experiment. That's a nice one to keep there. And as it's a very tiny solid booster, it ran out very quickly. And we're heading up very, very high at the moment for a small, tiny craft, up to about, I think we might just reach 9 kilometers. You've got the altimeter at the top there. That will tell us how far above Kerbal we are currently at the moment. Right. And we are probably going to slowly start to descend, so I am going to deploy our parachute. This will hopefully slow our descent. Fingers crossed, because if it doesn't, then we could end up with all sorts of big problems. And what we can do in Kerbal, because these things can take a little while you're trying to descend and do things like this, is we have up in the top left the ability to actually warp time slightly, just so we can speed it up. It is normally a good idea not to be too fast in time warp, though, when you start deploying your parachutes, when they start moving, because at this stage you can see it's in sort of like a drag chute mode, but as soon as you get lower, it's going to start expanding up to its full size to slow you down, and just flicked the whole thing around there, which is good. And we are just going to slowly, gently descend to the ground now. Now, one of the tricks is, if you want to know how far away from the ground you are, because the altimeter is actually about how high you are above sea level, which may not actually be how far away you are from the ground. It's just to watch the shadow. And you can see as we land, we have come back down and fallen over. But it's still in one piece. That's okay. We can recover that. Observe that. And look at that. We observed the goo, which there's not much to do because it's underground. It's not very exciting from here. We could probably turn this over a little bit, maybe. We could maybe have Jeb, who is always everyone's starting beginning Kerbal, who is famous for in every single Kerbal Space Program video or Twitch feed they ever do. It's always Jeb doing things because he is the main one most of the time. We could do a crew report from outside, I think. No, we can't. Sometimes you can later on, but not quite yet, so we'll just board him back in again. And what we will do is recover this vessel. And in a moment we shall get to see how successful our first mission was. And there we are, we gained 29 science out of that, and a bunch of valuable data and a load of money as well, which means we can now build bigger ships. But we still only have the same level of technology at the moment. There we are, funds going up. And Jeb is now ready for the next assignment, and they gain experience, these astronauts. The more experience they have, the more things they can do as well. But yes, that's not bad for a first little launch. We didn't get out the atmosphere. I'm hoping in this feed today we actually get into orbit. I'm going to try and go that far. But as we go in here, we have a science and research development facility here. Now, the research development facility, if we bring up here, you can see this wonderful tech tree. This is how we progress and get more technology. So as we get science, we can start buying our way along the path. Obviously, we can't get to these bits because we need the prereqs first, the later bits. So we need the prereqs first. And each one has a cost which we would use our science to spend on. So the best bet is let's get the basic rocket. That gives us a couple more things to play with there, and we'll also go with the engineering 101. That gives us a thermometer that we can also get additional scientific data from, a decoupler, which is always quite handy because we can stage our rockets, and some communication equipment, which might also be handy. And what's that leave me? It leaves me with 19 science left. So let's have a look and see if we can get anything on the next level. We can't afford the next level of rocketry just yet, but what we can is we can get some radial decouplers, we could get some new fins or some aerodynamics, or possibly, hopefully, we get some better parachutes. Yes, we have some parachutes and some heat shields, which is going to be absolutely essential if we're going to try and get any higher than where we have, because if you get too far up, then you're going to end up encountering heat effects if you're re-entering, and you're also going to need to have your parachutes to get you back down safely. So that cost me 15 research, so let's grab that. So that's a bit better for us. Right, back out again. Let's go and design a brand new rocket, because we could use that rocket again and send it up, but it doesn't go very far, so it's not very good. Right, okay, let's scrap that design and start again. We'll call this one an Explorer Mark 1. I think Explorer, or should we just call it, I don't know. In fact, actually, I don't know, so I'm going to call it the I don't know ship. There we are, that will do. Mark 1. It will get there, hopefully somewhere along the line. So we're going to try with this one, try to see if we can get as close as we can up into, as close to orbit as possible based on what we got. So now we have some fuel tanks. So before we just had a solid rocket booster that we could put on there, but now we can actually give our thing a actual fuel tank. But what I'm going to do is, just in case we do get up at least to a suborbital, is just put a heat shield on the bottom here. That's going to protect it on the way back down. And we've got science here. We're going to take up with us 2 of these because I want to try and get as much scientific data as possible. And I am going to put a thermometer on this side. Oh, actually, I got it on. You can change the way in which you do things so that sometimes it put it on like replicate on either side. Sometimes you just want the one thing. So in this case, we just want the one thing, and we're going to pop this on the top of the hatch there. I don't think we're going to leave the ship at any point. We'll put the lights on. We will need to put a parachute on the top there. I am not confident in that parachute though, so I was doing some testing and it wasn't doing too great. Actually, let's take that off. Put the parachutes on either side there. Maybe a bit too much of an overkill on parachutes, but still, never mind. I am nothing but thorough and safe, and I want to get my Kerbins home safely. In fact, actually, if I'm doing that, then I could possibly do away the heat shield. now. Oh, I've gone back to having 2 again. I don't need 2. I want just the 1. In fact, we won't have Jeb leave the ship just yet because we haven't got any payload bays, I don't think. Oh, we do, actually. That makes things a little bit easier. We have a payload bay already, so we can put the payload bay at the bottom there. Payload bays could be used to store important stuff that you don't want flapping around out in the open. Things like scientific experiments, like this down here. So we can go and pop this in. There we go. We can take... In fact, actually, I will have 2 because then we can take 2 experiments and do 2 lots of each one as well, and just try and get as much science as possible because that's how we're going to progress the tree at this stage. Okay, so we've got some there. We've got some good parachutes. Excellent. Close that. I don't like the way that sits, so I'm just going to bring it up ever so slightly so it sits a bit more flush. Technically, this is a little bit of clipping, but it should be enough to make it look a little bit neater. There we are. Okay. Yeah, that works. That's cool. Right. Now, because that's it, that's going to be our top of our ship, which will be returning back through the atmosphere, hopefully. We are going to need a decoupler. Yes, there we are, because we're going to separate these stages. And then we're going to put a rocket there, a fuel tank there, and we're going to put another fuel tank there. And I'm going to try and go for a suborbital hop. So pop that in there. That should be pretty cool. Right, that works. Have I got any electricity yet? No, so I can't generate my own electricity, so I better be careful on that, not to go too far. Otherwise, all we're running on at the moment is the batteries that are in this ship, and that's going to be a problem. Right. Let's get another decoupler. So what we've built here is a couple of fuel tanks, and we've put an engine on the top there. And that type of engine is better than these solid rocket boosters that we've been used so far, or the solid rocket booster that we've used so far, because we can turn the engine on and off and throttle it up and down. Not that it's going to make a major difference at this stage, but we can see. We will see. Okay, and then we'll put a slightly bigger solid fuel booster on the bottom than we had last time. I think we could probably do with some more solid boosters just to give it some real oomph. Maybe I'm going for a bit of an overkill, but this is Kerbal Space Program, and you have to go for overkill because that is the rule with Kerbal Space Program. You can't just do things by halves. Kerbals don't do anything by half. So let's pop that on there, adjust it in. That's cool. We'll just bring these in a little bit more. Now, some people might moan that I'm clipping parts, but really with these sort of things, they're just structural things. I'm not putting engines inside of each other. It's just making it a little bit neat, and I like to keep things neat. Okay, so let's have a look here. We need probably some wings. Right, I didn't get the advanced wings, so we've only got these little stubby things that aren't probably going to do too much, but we might want to put some on here, and then we need to just check our staging and just make sure our staging is okay. So we're going to, when we launch off, we want those 4 solid rocket boosters to go. We actually want those ones as well, so we want all 5 to go together. Then we want to separate that stage, activate the next engine. When that engine runs out, we want to get rid of that spent stage, and then we got all our parachutes on one, but we don't want to do that because what I've put on here, these 2 smaller parachutes are drogue chutes, and the idea is they're meant to slow you down from higher speeds, but they're not going to slow you down sufficiently for a safe landing, and that's what the bigger parachutes are, because your bigger parachutes need to be at a slightly slower speed before you can deploy, otherwise it just rips the parachute apart. So we need to make sure we deploy the drogue chutes first, so that we can get that bit of a slowdown, and then we can deploy the main chutes. That's perfect. Excellent. Right. Okay, I think that sets that one up. That is our I don't know ship Mark 1. Let's give it a whirl and see if it flies. Okay, the vehicle assembly building can't support vessels over 30 parts. That's one of the limitations we have at the moment. And how many parts have we got? 36. So we need to get rid of 6 parts. 4 parts? No, 6 parts. So let's get rid of them. That's taken away 4 parts. It might be a little less stable at the moment going up, but still, never mind. And now I need to get rid of 2 parts. And the mass, I think, is actually a bit too much for the launch pad that we're going to as well. Looking at this warning down here. So we've got 32 out of 30 and 23 tons out of 18 tons. Because we're only using a bit of dirt out there, we can only do smaller ships. We can't put bigger ships out there. That's also a problem. So what we will do is I'm going to drop this down and I'm going to take one of these fuel tanks out. Pop that in there. So hopefully that brings my mass down. Oh, it didn't. It barely affected my mass. That's how we're... Oh, in that case, what I will do to make things a little bit better is put that back as that barely affected mass, and I will turn this from being 4 of them into 3 of them. So that will hopefully reduce our mass into a safe zone. Oh, nearly. We're down to 19 tons. Okay, I think we're only going to be able to put 2 of these on. Otherwise, we're going to end up going over mass. Yeah, there we are, 15 tons. That's a bit better. And that's probably also reduced our part count a bit as well. So we're down to 26. So I can probably put another 2 fins on just to give it a bit more stability back here. And what have I got left? 28. Let's give it a bit of stability as well by putting a couple of fins at the top there as well. I don't know if that's actually going to be necessary, but we'll just put it there just so it gives it a bit more extra strength. Let's just make sure our staging's still right. Yeah, we can separate there. Dum, dum, dum. Yeah, right, now we should be able to launch. Now, at the moment, I don't think we've opened up the other launch sites yet, but later on you do, I think, or at least you can do in Sandbox. So I noticed there are a couple of other launch sites around Kerbal which you can launch from, but at this stage I don't think we can launch from the other sites yet, so we have to launch from this one. Right, okay, let's give this a test and see if it'll work. So there we are, back on our broken launch pad here, and let's see if we get this to take off. Well, it should take off. There's plenty of space, so I would do a countdown. I'm going to put the rocket thruster up actually, so we can adjust, as you can see down in the around that round altimeter at the bottom. We're just moving our rocket things up. We'll put the SAS on. That just makes sure the SAS is to do with its supporting it and make sure it maintains its ability to maneuver. That will make it a little bit more stable during flight. And we shall launch, and away we go. There we have those 3 nice bigger boosters pushing us up and up into the atmosphere, and I'm going to try and go a little bit suborbital, so I want to try and tilt a little bit away towards the ocean. That way we also get a little bit of research from the ocean, but it's not working very well. Right, drop that one. And aha, there we go. We have a bit more control because we have a bit of gimbling on this one. So we're just going to turn slightly to the side here, and we're just going to see how far we can push this. And oh, look, we're getting very red. Right, okay, so we lost that one as well. Let's get rid of that section. We don't need it anymore. That lightens the ship, makes it a little easier. And while we're up at this altitude, let's get some science. So we're going to log the temperature up here. Collected and recorded temperature data from the environment. Whereabouts are we? From the upper atmosphere. That's good. So we probably could get some more goo experiments as well. Yes, the goo seems to be getting very cold now because we're getting quite high. And I will also do some observations from here because we're up here. And you record the crew's assessment. We'll bring that back with us. And which one did I log? I logged the temperature, but we should log the air pressure as well, and collect and record the atmospheric pressure data from the surroundings. Excellent. Okay, so we'll grab that as well. We're still climbing at the moment. Now, the edge of the atmosphere is around about 70 kilometers, and you can see, compared to the last time we got to about 6 kilometers, using that staging, we have got up to, I think we may reach 50 kilometers or just over. So we are not far from the edge of the atmosphere, but we're going to need a bigger spaceport to be able to build the style of rocket we need to get up there. We're going to need a bigger vehicle assembly plant so that we can actually put more parts on our rockets, and we're going to need a bigger launch pad that will support more weight. So I think when we get back down, as long as we get back down safely, at the moment we are still in quite high altitude, so just want to be careful up here. We will need to ensure that when we get back there, we'll try and see if we've got enough money to expand those facilities, as well as some science to get a few more modules that we can build some slightly better ships with as well. Okay, so we are descending straight back down, and actually this is going to take a while, so I'm going to speed it up a little bit as we come back down. It might be an idea for me to rotate it slightly so that if we do build up too much speed and we start getting heat friction as we go through the thicker parts of the atmosphere gets thicker the closer you are to the planet, so if you're traveling faster during those parts you build up more heat. Also acts as a good air brake actually when you're coming in too fast, but unfortunately gotta still ensure you have methods for slowing down. So we make sure we point it in the right direction, and we will speed down because I want to deploy these drogue chutes, but we need to really make sure we're in a proper atmospheric level and not going too fast. You can see my speed is starting to descend because we are hitting that atmosphere and it's acting like an air brake, and we can now deploy our chutes, and in fact actually we can probably deploy all our chutes, and there we go. And we're now in the lower atmosphere, and actually as we're in the lower atmosphere we can probably take some temperature readings here that will be different to up there. Kerbal Space Program divides everything into biomes, so you tend to be able to get your best when you first get your scientific experimental data from an area. If you keep taking the same scientific data from an area, it starts becoming less and less useful, so you get less and less science from just repeatedly trying to log data from the same sort of area. So upper atmosphere and lower atmosphere counts as two different areas. So if I was to try and say for example do this one, which we've already done it on the last flight, and you'll see my science has gone right the way down compared to what I got last time. I'll reset the experiment because what I want to do is actually get some science instead from the water, because that counts as yet another biome in itself. Right, so let's speed up and head down. There goes the parachutes. We shouldn't really keep it fast for that bit, but never mind. And we are continuing to head down and try to head towards the water for a splashdown. And if you can see how far we got, we can't actually see the Kerbal Spaceport. It's actually over the horizon. So we have gone quite far, quite far. And now this is the slowest part of it. It's the bit that always takes its time to get there as you try to drag towards the bottom there as it heads all the way down. And yes, we need to get down the bottom there. Come on, speed it up a little bit. It's like at its slowest we are traveling at about 4 meters a second, which is a measly amount of speed. But Jeb seems very relaxed in there, just looking around, seeing what's going on around him out in the ocean there. So this is my second ship that I have built in the career mode, and it got to a fantastic 50 kilometers up. I am happy with that. I have barely opened up the tech tree at this point because I've only just started this brand new career, and it's getting there somewhere along the lines. And we are nearly at splashdown, and there we are. Right, okay, so now we have splashdown. Let's use that other scientific data and grab some data from there, and see that's much better. So we get 4 scientific data and we can now recover it back. Now as this is full career mode, I'm going to have to upgrade my stations next, because at the moment if I really want to get into space I'm going to need a bigger ship, and the VAB isn't going to handle that. So we got 60 science, excellent. So let's go to the research facility and see what we can pick up. So we can get some aerodynamic stuff for 18, 20. We can get some better engines. Oh, that might be good actually, and a better solid fuel booster. So that could be a good. Some additional stuff down here. I don't think I get those yet. How much is that going for? 45. Let's get these two for a second. That's just going to give us a bit more to play with. And actually what I forgot to do was pick up some contracts before the last one. Oops. Right. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so we got some extra science there. Let's go and see. And there's loads of stuff we could do here. Actually, what we want to do is I want to escape the atmosphere, because if we can escape the atmosphere, that would be very handy. And what else can we do? Conduct a focused observational view. Conduct a focused. See, I'm not so keen on some of these because they want you to go to a particular location, and that's not so easy when you're in the beginning of your actual career mode. They want us to test the parachute between an altitude of 1,000 meters and 8,000 meters at a speed of 150 to 270 meters a second. Ooh, I don't really know if I want to do that. See, you can get testing that. That can give you some money, but no, let's go for orbit Kerbin first of all. Right, that's cool. Let's drop back out again, and let's go and make some additions to these. Right, I can't upgrade this yet. I am just short. All right, we have 199,000 and 225,000 is what we need. What about the launch pad, though? We might be able to have a heavier rocket ship. Yes, we can. So let's upgrade that, and that will take a heavier ship. If we go back in here, that's good in some senses, because though we can't build rockets with more parts, we have some better parts. So we might still be able to build something that can get out the atmosphere at least. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the top part this time. We will call this the Mark II of the I don't know ship. And we will take this bottom part and get rid of that. We don't want you anymore. Right, okay. And we have some bigger fuel tanks. So we shall put those on the bottom there instead. And we'll have a look at our engines. We've got two different types of engines. We have the 30 and the 45. Now the 30 gives more power, but the 45 is a bit more fuel conservative. So the question is, do we want to be fuel conservative or do we want more power? And I think at this point in time, because we're just trying to get out the atmosphere, we just still want more power. Later on, we'll probably want to switch to the other type. And now we're going to need some more couplings, so we'll pop that on the bottom there. And actually we could do some proper staging with this if we wanted to, because we've got the radials as well. But no, I'm going to stick with this. Let's just see what else we picked up actually. Radiators, communicators, we've got the same science stuff, the same types of parachutes. So okay, no worries then. What we will do is I've put that on there. So let's put another booster on the bottom. But this booster is much bigger, much more power, and will last much longer, so that will get us even higher before it runs out of energy. And what we're looking at, that's 13 tons of spacecraft, and we can go up to 140 tons. But it uses 20 parts, so we would be able to do much more with this rocket, other than maybe put a bunch of fins on and some additional rockets on the side, because obviously more power, more rockets. That's the job. Right, okay, so let's have a look. Actually, I'm going to put them on this side this time, because I think it tends to be a bit better when you're trying to do your gravity turn if you're dropping your first boosters off the side, this side, rather than the top and bottom. I suppose there are some things to be said for either way with it. We will drop that across a bit. We will drop that across. I can't put any actual aerodynamic heads on the top there. We do want to just try and bring it a bit level down there. That's better. I don't think I've got any aerodynamic tops. Oh, I do actually. Yes, but do I have the space for it? Have I got? Yes, I do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those on there. That makes it just a little bit more aerodynamic. This game does take into account aerodynamics. It does have a semi-basis in real-world science in the way it does orbital mechanics and everything else like that. But if you watch YouTube videos on this, as it's shown, Kerbal physics is very different to real-world physics in many other ways. And yes, there are lots of fun things you can sometimes do with the physics. So, right, a brand new rocket. We are going to try and get out the atmosphere. I hope we can with this launch. Let's just check our staging. We just need to move that down there, then that goes there. That's it. That's perfect. Right, that is our Mark II. Let's get this up. Let's see if we can get this one into space. So we weren't far off last time. We hit 50 kilometers. Not far off, but let's try and see if we can get a bit higher. And we don't need RCS because we don't actually have any RCS on board. That's reaction control systems for when you're actually in space. And let's launch. Now those heavier rockets take a little bit more time just to warm up and get it moving, but it will get it going soon enough. And let's go straight up and see where we can get to. And hopefully these will last a lot longer. In fact, actually, look at how much speed we are building up now compared to before. You can see those atmospheric effects coming off there. We are probably going close to supersonic, if not faster than supersonic, very soon. And that's going well. That's maybe not so good, but then it's not Kerbal Space Program unless you're burning up on launch, apparently. We drop the bottom bit, and off we go. And we will attempt a slight gravity turn. A little bit of resistance up there, but we are up at 38, 40. Now, you may wonder why I keep heading off to the side. It's not just so I can land over the ocean. It is when you go into orbit, you need to really build as much horizontal speed as you can as well, because you need to get up to about 2,500, 3,000 meters a second in thing. But that is space. We are now in space. We are now still climbing, actually, over 80, 90. We are still going up. Let's get some observations while we can. That went better than expected, so let's get some experimental data. The instrument reads 0. It's as if we were in a vacuum. Surprising that. And let's go and log some temperature data. We will grab that as well. Maybe we will do some observations as well. I'm sure we can get some good observations up here. It seems we are very much in space right now. The sky seems to be mostly below us. Yes, it is. And I wonder if we can leave here. In fact, actually, I better do a quick save and then EVA out. No, we can't, with our current astronaut complex, go and do spacewalks just yet. But we should be able to in time, but we will still take the data that we have here. We will close that back up because we're going to be coming back down pretty hard and fast, because we have climbed up now to nearly 200 kilometers above Kerbal space surface. We can now really see all those flat Kerbal enthusiasts there, that we can prove them wrong, and the Kerbal is actually round. But we are up there, up in the higher atmosphere, or beyond the atmosphere now. And we're still going. Look at this. Oh, I think we gave it way more power than we needed to. I could possibly have done a gravity turn sooner. We might have even been able to reach an orbit. I wonder if we go to our orbital map and see where we're going. In fact, actually, we're going to reach 742,000 meters above the surface. I can't believe we got that far just in that thing. That was a lot more power than our last rocket. If only we could have translated that into actually going around the planet rather than just straight back up and down. It's the strange way that orbital mechanics work. You have to actually build your speed going in a certain direction so that you're actually going around the planet and not just going straight up, because as we know with gravity, what goes up must come down. So right, we should really speed this up until we're going to be coming back down again. And there we are. We're coming down on the night side, it looks like. So now we're actually back there. Let's jettison that. Don't need that. We will close that, and as you can see, we are now getting atmospheric effects. So let's turn into it. That's what our heat shield is there for, to prevent us from actually dying a fiery death in the atmosphere. And we look at this, we're doing about 2,000. And in fact, you can see what happened to that rocket. That nearly hit us then. Oops. Dear. Yeah, that could have gone wrong. Hopefully slow down in time, because we're running out of space to actually deploy his parachutes. Come on, that's it. At 6 kilometers above the surface, we are able to deploy our drogue chutes and then our main chutes. Huzzah! Great, fantastic. So we actually got quite a bit of distance then, and actually not much to actually do scientific study on this one here. I wonder if we do anything here. It's going to get me much. 1.6, that will do. But we can certainly get some pressure data from when we get back into the ocean here. So let's get down, carry on down. Descending fast. And yep, that's the main chute's gone. And now we do the slow bit. Oh, a bit of the rocket survived that we jettisoned, and bang, it splashed into the water, probably sunk to the bottom there, and will become a new coral reef at some point in the next 10 years, I'd imagine. In fact, actually on Earth, we have a space junkyard that is in the middle of the Pacific. I'm not sure if it's a good idea. I can understand the idea of dumping all the stuff into one spot in the Pacific just to try and not cause too much of a thing, but if we keep dumping our rocket parts into the ocean, I can't see that as being too healthy for the ocean in the long run. Though we really do need to get off the planet. The idea of reusable spacecraft like SpaceX are doing is actually a really good idea to prevent us from putting too much in there. And I think in the future we're going to need to start looking at, instead of dumping our things in the ocean, start looking at pushing things into outer space, because we can't leave them in orbit because it crowds the orbit and pollutes the orbit as well. So push them off into outer space so that they towards the sun, so they eventually burn up. There we are. We have splashed down. Right, let's log some pressure data, and excellent. So we got some pressure data from the water, and we should probably log the temperature as well. We've logged it from space, and let's log it here. Collect and record the temperature data. Excellent. Let's go back. Hopefully that will get us a lot more science and a lot more money, and we can possibly upgrade the VAB. Let's have a look. We gained 87 science, and we gained a bit more money. Now, we have enough money to upgrade the VAB, but we probably couldn't build a rocket afterwards if we did that. So, I have an idea. We're starting to gain some reputation, but we don't really need that much at the moment. Jeb's there, quite happy. We've probably completed one of our contracts, yes. So we have one active contract, which is to orbit Kerbal. Let's have a look. They want us to test engines. We need to test it while orbiting at a very high altitude. I don't think we can get up there just yet. They want us to test this while we're down on the ground. Well, not down on the ground, but inside the atmosphere. But this engine is better in the upper atmosphere. They want us to test things in the wrong places. However, there is a contract there that will bring in a lot of money, and that is for ferrying tourists. Well, we could take some tourists up. I don't know if we got... I'm going to come back to this and see what we got. Because if we could unlock some passenger cabins in the science tree, then it may be worth taking some passengers up. Or we can probably get some more science through these things. If we unlock it, it's 45. Let's have a look. Nope, we actually can't take any passengers yet. Oh, just we can. If we unlock this, we can take a passenger cabin up with us. And we could probably take these guys up on a suborbital flight. I ain't going to get to that. And I see we got a few more boosters that are available to us, which might be able to get us up into orbit. And we got some extra parts and some better wings, which we could probably do with. Can't quite afford any of this. It's 45 and we got 42.4. So it's not very good. We could do with some of these science modules as well, but we will get back to those. Okay, let's have a quick check. Not in space hangar, astronaut complex. We need the administration building. Yes, one of the things I want to do is takes 5% of funds. Takes funds. These are little programs that institute that if you need to rebalance things, so you need a bit more science than you do at the moment, and you can sacrifice a little bit of your reputation to gain a bit more science. So in this occasion, yes, we can do that. We can. How far can we push it? We can push it up to 25%. It costs a little bit of rep, but we would do that. Yes, we will do that. That's taken our rep away a little bit, but some of the reputation that we gain, we can pump it into science instead. If we go back here, oh, we have lost the ability to actually take the tourists. Brilliant. Putting that on then means that, yeah, I'm guessing the reputation does affect whether you can take tourists and the type of missions you get. Fantastic. So our best bet right now is to try and gain a little bit more rep so we can start taking tourists, because they give lots of rep as well because you're taking them up successfully. But let's try and get an orbit, because I'm sure that'll give us lots of reputation. Yeah, it gives us 8 reputation there and there. We can give that a try, and some extra money, so we'll try that. Let's try and get a rocket that will do an orbit. That would be fantastic. So let's have a look at our rocket, the I don't know mark, now 3, and we'll have a look at what we got. We got some different engines, hopefully. No, not quite. What did we get? We got a passenger cabin, didn't we? Of course we did. And now we can't use the passenger cabin. Wonderful. Okay, right. Okay, so let's have a look. Any way we can improve this? Actually, yes, there is. We could improve the staging a bit. So I'm going to possibly... How many parts is this taking up now? This is taking up the maximum 30 that we can build the rocket. Only cost me 15,000 to build. We are going to need a lot more money in the bank, and we really need to get that orbit. How are we going to make more money? I think we need to go back and do some more contracts. I may have taken that a little too soon. Oops. Yes, I have taken that way too soon. So let's go and do something that's going to give us some more money. What should we take? Booster in flight. We need to test the flea when we're at 32,000 to 39,000 meters above the atmosphere, or above the surface. We could possibly do that on a special test flight, but it would probably cost us more in the rocket in the long run. I'm not sure I really want to do that. Now the hammer is what we're using, but it wants us to test it in orbit. That's not the best place to be testing it. These tests are fantastically rubbish. I wonder if we get rid of that. Haul a decoupler into orbit. Yes, we've got to get to orbit first. We can't orbit yet. No, let's have a look. Oh, ferry 2 tourists. That's what we want. Yes, 2 tourists, which we can still actually do tourists. Let's create a tourist-style vehicle that will hopefully... Where are they going to? Suborbit, aren't they? Yes, they want to go on a suborbital flight. Now, we could use this same design of ship that we've already built, but what we need to do is we're going to need to bring in a passenger cabin, but that's going to take up space, so we're going to need to get rid of something to launch it. So we will get rid of, I mean, it's still worth taking some science up, but we'll get rid of a bit of science. So if we reduce this down to the 1, and hopefully get it straight, because otherwise we'll have an off-centered ship, and I really don't want that. If I can get it lining up straight. That's close enough, I think. If it's not, oh well, we have a slightly off-kilter ship, but I should hope it's straight. And then what I'm thinking is that we take that off there and we put one of them on there instead. And I don't like the way these pods have this bell at the bottom there. I'm wondering if that's meant to be its own internal built-in heat shield or something, and I've just never realised all these years that I've been putting a heat shield on here and it's not actually required, but I don't know. Let's put the lights on. We now have a ship that is capable of carrying people, or carrying another 2 people as well as Jeb. So what we could do is we've got 2 tourists now waiting in our astronaut complex, and we can put them on board with the I don't know ship Mark III. Hopefully our staging is still in the right order, and we are going to try and see if we can take these people up in a suborbital flight. Let's give it a go. And here we are back at the launch pad. And look at that, our launch pad is actually, I think did we notice this last time? I can't remember if I pointed this out, but our launch pad has actually changed from the pile of dirt that was there to actually being something that looks like a launch pad with some tunnels to vent the steam that comes out the bottom of these rockets and the smoke and the exhaust, and actually has a bit of a run up to it from the VAB, so it's a bit smoother as you get towards the launch pad. So yeah, it's looking better. We are definitely seeing some form of investment going on here. So let's stabilize the rocket and let's launch it. This time with passengers. Now I'm wondering if we can just get it to tilt a bit, because I would like to try and go somewhere towards orbit. I don't think with the setup we have at the moment it is going to quite go there. We just need possibly that little bit more science to do it, and we need that little bit more cash in order to be able to upgrade our facilities, but we will certainly give it a try. There we go, it's going to run out. I don't think we're going to get much more of an orbital turn than that at this stage. Just at the location we are, it is actually fighting me as I try to actually put it into some form of orbital turn. That's that gone. Let's activate that one, and now we can probably no. Oh, yep, that's it. Sorry, it felt it was starting to put itself over, and then when that happens, the rocket starts to spin in space, and you lose the whole rocket, and everyone dies a nice fiery death. Oh, hopefully not. We got parachutes, so we can still sort of abort. Just level over. We are still inside the atmosphere at the moment, but we are up at 50 kilometers and we have just run out of fuel. So, okay, hopefully, I think, obviously this isn't anywhere near an orbit, but we should still get up to about 450 kilometers above the surface, which is good. And we are heading into the dark side, so we're probably going to be landing at night, which is probably not the best idea, but it looks like we'll be hitting the ocean, so it's okay. We haven't gone that far ahead. We could probably get a bit more science while we're up here. Let's have a look. Observe the mystery goo. Yeah, it's not going to be, it's not as much as we would have before. None there at all, so there is literally no point in getting data from that or from that. So yes, maybe we could try it when we get up to about 400 kilometers. Maybe that will give us a bit more data. However, these people are now my first tourists to go into space. Eat that, SpaceX. My fourth rocket, and I have tourists already, and you're not even approved for human launch. Well, neither is this actually. It's approved for Kerbal launch, which they might be slightly more expendable. But just don't tell them that. Right, okay, let's see if we can get up to 4 kilometers, see if that makes a difference. I can't remember where the borderlines lie in space for when you are at which point where it's actually going to give us a little bit more data, whether it's flying even higher over. Let's have a look. Oh, look at that. We can get a load of data from up here. That's amazing. That's good. And actually, I would like to reset the experiment and get some more data from there, because that's going to probably bring back loads as well. Look at that, 15x data from there as well. We'll log the temperature from here. That's 12. We'd log the pressure. And let's get a crew report from up here while we're at it as well. And he's reporting in from space, truly and utterly in space now. So we'll take that. Well, he was last time. He actually went even higher than this, but we just didn't get the scientific data, which would have been a good idea, really, to be honest. Okay, no worries. That's us up there. Let's give it a quick save. And then let's head back towards the atmosphere. Let's bring this back down slowly. There we go. Let's get rid of that bit, because we don't want that bit anymore. Turn towards the descent. You see that yellow circle with the 3 points on it that I am pointing my gimbal ball towards? That's actually quite important, because that's actually telling us where we are. I am wondering if I can actually just slightly clip this with the camera. No, I can't do that. Oh, I didn't like that bang. Hopefully that wasn't something on the ship. Well, we still seem to have a heat shield. We still seem to have passengers. Ah, yes. No, we made it. We made it. Whew. I was very worried then. Let's hope we slow down enough time to deploy the chutes. Yes, we do. We can deploy the we should hopefully be bringing these back safely. I really would not like to kill my first tourists on their first time into space, first time taken in there. That would not do our reputation any good whatsoever. And I probably don't need to take so many scientific experiments out with me anymore in future. Certainly not these type of scientific experiments, because I'm not getting much scientific data from them. What I could do is take them to other parts of the planet. Oh, look at that. We nearly made it to the other piece of land. Now, if we got there, I could have done some scientific data on that land there, and that would have given us a bit more data as well to take back. But unfortunately, we didn't make it that far. So let's speed this up, get back down, try and see if we can get as fast as we can back down to the surface. Heading downwards. And these bits always take forever. I really wish there was a way, if the developers are ever hear this, and I can maybe say this every single time I do this, I want this to go faster. Is there a way to make this go faster? Because 4 times speed still doesn't get it down when you're doing a safe parachute all the way back down to the surface there. But look at this, we're doing 5 meters a second and it's just crawling down. I suppose we want to do it safely. You want to know your touchdown safely. But I would like to be able to show people it coming down at some decent sort of speed. Pressure data. Oh, I can actually get some additional data from here actually, which I didn't notice before. So we got that one. Let's log those. So that's just a little bit more data. That's good. Right, and let's recover our vessel and see where we stand now. Hopefully, with the ability, I think we're going to need some better fuel tanks and some better engines. I would hope. I would hope. So let's have a look. We've got 106 data. Awesome. That we want. And what we've got, 2,445 funds. I think we can upgrade the VAB and put some decent stuff on there and be able to launch our next rocket. Maybe. Let's see what we get. Let's see what we get and see what we develop. So, yes, we can have a better fuel tank. That's a good engine for pushing you into orbit, so that's actually quite good. And another fuel tank there with some tanks. Okay, this could work, and that's only 45, so we could actually get 2 things. Now, I'm not so keen on those. Maybe that, because we can get some reaction wheels and a different re-entry model that will take 2 people up, maybe. Or science, more science, more science. We do need more science. So let's get that. Let's get that, and we now have a slightly better thing for developing. And let's go and get some more contracts. Those tourists were great. They enjoyed it. Yes, we can get some more tourists again. So let's take some more tourists on another trip and get some more. Okay, so we are going to do another redesign of the rocket here. And with this redesign of the rocket, what can we do? Well, we need 2 tourists. So this design is actually not too bad. We could actually just make money off the back of this, but we bought some extra stuff so that we can take some different scientific data up. And what we also have the advantage of now is that we see some of this new scientific module. It's about the same size as this, and all of this is going to start weighing the ship down when we want to bring it back down. We don't want to do that. So this costs 15,000, costs 225,000 to upgrade. If we can get the rocket under the price of 25, I'm going to be really pushing it doing that way, and I am going to be really pushing it. I wonder. Well, we got a better fuel tank, so let's take that out. We can now put in that fuel tank, like so. And we're within tonnage, obviously well in tonnage. We'll have a bit more power going up there. And what I want to do is I am going to take advantage of something now a second. So we'll pop that up there. Like I said, we don't need so many scientific experiments. We really don't need so many scientific experiments. So I'm going to put on top of here, it's going to look a bit odd, but I'm going to put one of these. That will collect all our data and bring it down so that we don't actually need to bring the experimental data, the quick instrumentation down. So that just makes the top bit a bit lighter. And now what we can do then in that case is take that out, remove that, put that on the bottom of there. So we're now only bringing down that bit, push that to there, and we can put the experimental data on the top of there like that. And we can take one of them. That will get some data from there as well. And we're probably over. Yes, we are over by 2 points. So what we'll do is, because we don't need so much of this, is only put one of each of those on there. Which we're probably not even going to need those, to be perfectly honest, unless we're landing it back down. So actually, what I will do... Sorry, I am going to redesign it yet again. I'm going to put that back there for this time, just because hopefully we will land in a different location. And that would be a good idea, because then we can get a bit more science data and everything from there. But this science data I am going to get from orbit and then just store it in this module to bring back down. Okay, and this is going to boost up the cost of the rocket a little bit more by about 1,000, but that is looking a bit like a skyscraper. But this is, well, this is technically the Mark IV, isn't it? So we'll call this the I Don't Know Ship Mark IV. We'll put some crew in there. So we need a tourist and another tourist, and Jeb's going to keep flying them up. And actually, do we really need Jeb? Because he's probably got the most experience he can get from it at the moment, unless he gets into orbit. And we could really put Valentina in there. But no, let's keep with Jeb just in case. Okay, so the rocket's improved somewhat along the grounds there. Let's put it out on the pad and see what happens. Staging all right? Yeah, staging's good. Let's put it out. And there we are. We are standing tall on the pad, ready to take off. So let's push some power into there. That's just for the actual upper stage here. These two bits that you can see highlighting up. It doesn't have any effect on the actual solid boosters at the bottom. We shall launch. Remembering that we don't tend to be able to do much of a gravity turn at this stage. We shall just go straight up. For the time being. For the time being. Get as high as we can. Punch as high as we can. you can start to see those effects going on. Of course, every time we add things like these science modules and stuff like that, the rocket's going to get a little bit heavier, and that's going to be a problem as well. So we just need to really lighten the load a little bit. Get a little bit heavier, sorry, so we can't go as far. But we do have some slightly bigger fuel tanks, so the top bit should be able to actually go for a little bit longer than it did on previously. So let's get rid of that. And we'll just slightly turn over, not too far, not too far. No, you are going to flip. It's going to flip. No. And we are in rotation, so we just have to be careful. And I just want it to continue spinning around. And now we can boost it around. And hopefully we should now be stable. We're actually now high enough to be stable. Yes, that's better. We shall definitely make it into space. Where we make it into space is a different matter. And in fact, actually, we shall try and get this as parallel to the horizon now. So we spun once. That was really not ideal. Maybe needed to wait a little bit before doing my gravity turn because we didn't quite get as high because those free boosters were having to lift something a bit heavier above it. Those fuel tanks were probably a bit heavier in its weight, as well as that science module. But we are now in space. We are definitely on a suborbital flight. We're going to reach up to about 300. We're getting it probably is the least ideal way to get up there, but hey, we are on a suborbital, and we may even come down on land, or actually possibly not. We may end up on that little jut of land there. I don't know. I don't think so. But let's get it up to here. So I don't think we can fast forward to quite that far, but we should be able to get to here. There we are. So we are now at the top. We are for about 300 kilometers up. This is what the tourists are wanting to see. They want to see Kerbin from space. What we want to do is observe this materials bay, and we want to recover this science. And I don't think this science is going to do much for us up here, because we've already gathered from this area. I am going to keep hold of that for now. We are not going to do anything more with that. What about your observations? And yeah, you don't find anything either. Okay, but what I am going to do is reactivate this. See this strange module at the top. We can collect all. And this has brought the scientific data from this section up to this section. So when we come to go back into the atmosphere and we jettison this bottom bit, and in fact we could actually even just get rid of it now. We don't need it. The data is all safely contained up here. This experiment is no longer required. And what will happen is this piece can carry on and crash back to Kerbin with no problems at all. And right, let's carry on descending, and we're carrying on back down to the atmosphere, so we'll speed it up a bit. Here we go. We need to angle ourselves so we are facing into the oncoming rush of the heat. There's going to be a battering against this ship as we head towards the surface again. Hopefully breaking these two tourists down safely. I should have quick saved a bit sooner than that, but never mind, too late. And hopefully, and I can see the land in the distance there, so maybe we could actually reach it. I don't know. I don't think we will. I think we will be just short again, like we were last time. Oh, yes, we are getting burning effects. We don't want things to blow up. We don't want things to blow up. We are slowing down. That's good. That's good. Phew. Now we just have to hope that we slow down enough in time that we can deploy the parachutes. There we are. That's the drogue chutes. And that's actually higher than we normally can. So that's good. And that one as well. There we are. So we are now well and truly back on our way down. Hopefully safely. And let's have a look at crew report. We can take a crew report from here. So we shall take a crew report from here. That's not so good, but I will keep it. That's not so good either. So, okay, we shall check to see what these are like when we're in the ocean. We might need to not worry about those, and we can save some money on our rockets and give ourselves some parts that we can use for something else until we get to the point where we have something else to use science for. slowly coming down. And we come on there. Right. So we are now about 200 meters above the surface. And yeah, that's just not worth taking that data there. But what I really want to do now, what I really need to do is get a craft into orbit. And there we go, touchdown. Right, okay, let's see if we can get some more science from here, because what I think we need is still some better engines. We just don't have the engines to do things. No, that's no good. And that's no good either. Okay, no worries, let's recover it. And hopefully we have some better science, though. Let's see what science we get. And look at that, 60 science. That should be enough to put something else on there. I don't know what yet, though. We shall see. Okay, right, and we have a bit more funds, so we can actually build bigger rockets again. Actually, yes, let's upgrade the VAB. I think that's going to be the next step now. Okay, so upgrade that. We lost a lot of money. We have 34,000 to launch our next rocket with, but we can now build much bigger rockets. Well, rockets with more parts anyway. Let's have a look. What we got here in terms of contracts. Ferry a VIP back from his destination. Yeah, let's take the one for now, because we can use a different type of module at the top. So let's, to get our attempt at orbiting, instead of just going into space but actually try and orbit, let's build a brand new rocket. And we will call these, no, we won't. It won't let me do it because I haven't started building the rocket yet. So let's get a module. Oh, actually, that only carries one. I thought I unlocked the one which enables me to carry two. I haven't gone and done my science yet. That might be a good idea. Okay, so we have 60 science. Let's see what we can spend it on. Well, that has got a crew capacity of 1. So what we're wanting is something that's got a crew capacity of 2. Like that, yes, and an SAS module and better aerodynamics. Yes, that will do. Good. So we will get that. I thought we were close to unlocking it. I just hadn't unlocked it yet. Oops. Right. Okay. So let's have a look. We have crew capacity of 2. Now this is, in comparison to size to this, it's a little bit bigger. These things are designed for their own orbital re-entry, if I remember rightly, and shouldn't burn up so much, I think. I might be wrong. I don't know what they are like for. It does have a ablator armor on it, so that will make it tougher coming through. It loses it at 20,000 K, not units per second flux. Right, okay. We will give it a try. I may end up killing some carbon. I am going to avoid having a heat shield on this. I really want to get this to orbit, and it would be nice if we can get it to orbit with a tourist on board as well, just to show it off, to say, yes, we really went there. But what we need to do is also put, I still want to get some science while we're up there as well, so we don't want to think about that. This thing can eject itself. That's one of the nice things about this module as well. It can eject itself. So you don't even need to put any sort of separators on there or anything else, but what we do need to put on there is we're going to need a way of bringing the science back down. So we'll pop that up there at the top, and we will need to put some parachutes on here so that we can bring it down safely. So we'll have 2 of those, possibly not there. We will put them that way around. Probably not the best way of putting them on there. Nor is that. No, what I will do then is retry that. In fact, let's put them that way around. There we are. So they're pointing upwards a bit. That should work. That should work. And we'll put 2 on there. And hopefully the clipping won't cause too much of a problem. We could put a 3rd one on there. That will actually just, hopefully, oh, just this slightly. There, looks like it should be the best point for it. Oh, I need 2 of them. There we go. Right, okay. So that should give us, how many parts is that? I mean, we can now build rockets up to 255 parts in size. We can do a lot more with that now. This VAB is far better. As you can see, it's actually redesigned it. And oh, look, there's my flag up there. Excellent. And hopefully we can get this up here. Is there not my flag to go on there? But no, they won't let us put the flag on there. That's not nice. Okay, so we'll call this Get Us Up There. actually, that sounds very dodgy. There's orbit or bust. That was a very dodgy name for it. It was innocent in what I was trying to do was to get it into orbit, but I think there are other connotations to that we possibly don't want to have broadcasting out live. Oops. Right, okay, so let's take that. What we're going to try and do with this is we're going to try and build a rocket that is going to get us into orbit. So for that we need to have one of those engines. This engine here, which I didn't show before, we showed the other two, which was the 45 and the 30, but the 909 is even more efficient than those, but it runs slower. But that's fine, because once you're up there, you've got a lot more time to be able to push and move into the right velocity and distance that you need to do. But we do need to get up there first. Right, we need a coupler. What we need to do is have another rocket on there. First of all, one of those. So we hide that away in there, and then we need, and we're going to put this into, basically, we'll have this as a 3-stage rocket. So the second stage, the third stage is the top part, the second stage is this bit, and what we're going to do, well, technically it's 4-stage because you've got the bit that comes back down again. We're going to put on this one the powerful 30 engine that's going to get us up into some sort of hopeful distance and direction that we want to go in. And then what we need to do is, I'm sure we now have some of these, yes, these are side decouplers, and these we are going to put those big thumper boosters on the side of, so that we can eject them off the side once we are done. And I want to just bring them down a little bit lower. There we go. What we need to do is get some of these, pop that on there, just makes it a bit more aerodynamic again, and they will eject off the side, and then we can activate the central bit. And we will want some wings on here again as well. What I'll do is I'll put the wings in here, so that just keeps that stable there between there. So hopefully this will remain stable. And this actually probably is coming out actually not many bad parts. That's 31 parts, so it's actually more than we could manage before, but that's okay because we now have this, and we've got to watch our pricing. This is 18,000 so far. If we put these on here to stabilize it, how much does it go up to now? Oh no, that's fine. Are they for free? Would we not pay anything for them? Oh, only 200. So okay, right. That's okay. That should get us up somewhere towards there. I'm hoping Orbit or Bust Mark 1 that you can actually do something. But what we're missing is that when we get up there, we still need to get some science, because if we hit orbit and stuff, we want to get some science and bring it back down. But really, the only science module I really want to use at the moment is this one. So we'll pop that on there. Okay. And yeah, that's our Orbit or Bust Mark 1 with this strange looking orb at the top there, which is there for a purpose, and one purpose only, which is to carry 2 people instead of us having to have a passenger thing, because we're going to take a VIP up with us, and it's just the one VIP we need to take up. So where's our tourist there? Ronnie Kerman, you get to be the volunteer to witness, hopefully, us reaching orbit. I want to reach orbit. Hopefully we'll reach orbit on this turn. Let's have a look. So save. And oh, staging, yes, that's important. So yes, at the moment on our first stage we release the clamps and activate the main boosters, then drop the side bits off, activate the central booster, then couple there, activate that booster, then we will need to decouple the top bit, and then we will need to activate the drogue chutes first, and then the main chutes. There we are, that should have us sorted. Okay, back to here, and let's us go and launch and see where we get to. In fact, actually, we may end up going further, so why not bring some science back down with us as well? In fact, actually, yes, let's do that. Let's pop, because we can got the space for it, and yeah, we can do that. So we'll pop that on there, and we'll pop that on the side of there. So if we do manage to get back down to somewhere we have never been before, we can take some science readings with those as well, and that will be also of benefit. Okay, right. Yeah, do we want to put some of those other ones on there, those other sides, but no, we don't. It's okay. It's fine. It looks cool as it is. It's not heavily aerodynamic with that top bit there, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, so let's save it. Let's launch it. I really want to, before I go off air later, which I will probably do sometime in the next sort of half hour or so, I want to make sure we hit orbit first. Right, okay, so it's night time. I hate launching at night. I don't know about anyone else. We will do a quick save, and I'm going to speed up the clock just to get it around today. There we are. It's daytime again. Excellent. Okay, so let's increase some power on there. It's not going to be activating straight away anyway, and let's see if this will get us, or hopefully get us, somewhere close to an orbit. So there we go. Those 4 boosters are pushing us up, possibly not as fast as we did before. You can see Jed, big smile on his face. The tourist Ronnie doesn't look too happy in the back there. It's not like you're sat on top of a massive firework that could possibly explode at any point in time. It's a little wobbly going up, but we are definitely rising. We're definitely building up some good speed upwards. I wouldn't want to do a gravity turn just yet. This kind of thing wouldn't normally do a gravity turn very well from here anyway. I've discovered anyway at points in the past, and we did recently as well when we started spinning on our last attempt. There we go. Let's get rid of those. Activate that engine. Hopefully this will push us higher and further, and we can start to do a turn ever so gently. We've got to be careful, but we need to try. No. Yeah, no. Oh, yes. Good. Right. Oh, no, now we're swinging back too far. No, I want to still go over. No, why are you going that way? I want to go the other way. This thing has no gimbaling. This thing has no gimbaling at all, or very little gimbaling. I want to go vertical, not upwards. Come on. Get us over there. Get us over there. Let's try and see if we can get into an orbit, and the only way we can do that is if you push us sideways, not upwards. Because, yeah, you know, you have to get up, but you need to go sideways more than you need to go up, actually, to get into an orbit. That's better. We are starting to maneuver. I did see an SAS module on there, so maybe that's what we should be experimenting with next. Okay, now we're going a bit too far. Okay, right, a little too far. Oh, it's okay, we just need to burn towards the horizon. There we go. Okay. We are now up in orbit. Let's see. Well, we're not in orbit. We are in still a suborbital. Oh, of course, I can't do that yet. My tracking station isn't quite ready yet. I have to do this all manually to get to an orbit. Now, you can normally get waypoints later on in the game, so that it makes this so much easier, but right now I am going to have to eyeball it and see if I can get there. But at this distance, can we observe the material bay and see if we can get something out there? We can get 25 science, so we'll keep that experiment, and we shall pull that into the top. There we go. Now, as you can see, this engine is burning away, but it doesn't drain the fuel tank as quickly. And bear in mind that this fuel tank is actually smaller than the old one. So hopefully we may be able to get somewhere towards an orbit. That would be nice. And of course, if we can get an orbit, the next step will then be to try and get some more science, so we can get a few more things. And then we want to try and head, if it's here, visible here somewhere. No. We zoom out, maybe we can see it. We can see a bit of Kerbal. No, it must be on the other side. There is the Moon, which is basically Kerbal's version of the moon, and yes, that is one of the next big achievements, as well as building space stations and various other things that you can do in Kerbal Space Program. So we are heading on still, trying to burn through. It doesn't tend to go so much in terms of acceleration. As you can see, we are not accelerating as fast as we did on the other thing, but as we said, it is a far more efficient engine, so hopefully, in fact, if we bring this pointing towards the horizon, we should possibly push towards a orbit quicker. Just watch the height on that. We're trying to basically just make as big a circle as quickly as possible around the planet. Just to just that. And if you watch this line moving, you can see this is the trajectory that it is currently going on if it carries on in its current velocity. And we are slowly getting there. Bit by bit. Unfortunately, the engine is way too slow for my taste. I do like to get up there a bit quicker and move quicker, but we can only work with the technology we have at the moment. So we're not getting there step by step. Come on, push, push, push. Let's get in orbit. Oh, it's getting closer. How's our fuel reserves looking? Oh, just under half a tank. I think we can do it. I think we can do it this time. Hopefully. Look at this. Yes. Yes, look at that. That's beginning to do its orbit. Now we just got to raise that up the periapsis so that it's actually above the atmosphere, and then you can maintain a stable orbit. And that is a stable orbit. Just cut the engines off. We are in orbit. Hurrah! Look at that. We are in orbit. We did it. I did what I wanted to set out to achieve, which was to get the ship into orbit for this feed, for this stream. I've done that. I won't leave it there. I will actually try and see if we can bring the ship back down again first before I go anywhere. It's obviously be in orbit, but it's no good unless you can bring it back down again. So, where are we? We're around here. Let's at least do one victory lap around the planet. And there we go. We can now admire the fact that we're out there, and now we can see the Mun. It's over there. That's where we're going to be heading towards next. And actually, in Kerbal's system, there is actually 2 satellites in orbit of Kerbin. There is the Mun, and there is also Mimbus, but we will explore that in the future, in future weeks. I will probably do Kerbal Space Program once a week, maybe, and come back and we'll keep exploring this. I mean, I still very much love my Elder Scrolls, so hopefully you guys will join me for some of those live sessions as well in Elder Scrolls. But I do enjoy Kerbal Space Program as well from time to time. Sometimes you just need to relax with a good old bit of rocket science. Yeah, relax, rocket science. Yes, because that's the kind of thing that some people like to actually relax to, and I do. So that's quite cool. Yes, we will now need to bring this back down, and let's have a look. So where are we in our orbit? Not there. Maybe we'll try and see if we can bring it over this desert. That would be quite cool. If we could land in that desert, that would be a brand new biome to explore. And the way we're going to have to do that is we're going to have to stop going like that and try and see if we can burn against it. So we need to turn our ship into a retrograde. Right, okay, so this pod has no actual control over its... Yes, it doesn't. It does have no control. It's got no SAS on board compared to the little triangular pods. So we should really include an SAS module next time. Hopefully we can bring this back down. We may not bring this back down. It's got a blater armor, but will it actually come back down, or will it just spin down? Right, okay, now we've got it pointing the right way. Let's reduce our distance, and that's where the other launch site is. That will be a good one to visit sometime, but at the moment I don't think we've unlocked it yet. And there's another site there. There used to only be one launch site in Kerbal, which was this one, but now we have these 2. And yeah, I think you've got to unlock them before you can use them. But you can then launch from different sites, so you don't need to always launch from the same location, which is very handy if you're like doing a polar launch or something. You know, you could launch from there into a polar orbit instead of trying to launch polar from there. Not that it actually makes a really big difference, but if you needed a big inclined orbit or something, I suppose you could. Right, that should bring us in over there. Now, what I'm going to do is not eject this bit just yet. Now I've gathered the data. Let's save this because this is going to be tricky. We're going to go and head down. There we are. We're over the desert. And then what I want to do is point us that way. And that way we can use the engine to point us and also possibly slow us down before we hit the atmosphere and burn up. Let's close those doors because that's not going to be good. We don't want that building up heat on there, and then let's just try and burn off some of that descent speed as we're coming down. It'll probably be still a good idea to get rid of this bottom stage, but we could probably slow ourselves down a little bit and not produce as much heat, and also keep ourselves pointed in the right direction, because we've got no control over this now once we get rid of this engine, other than these parachutes. There we go. So now we are completely free falling. I mean, I could have the SAS on or not, it's not going to really make much difference. It is going to be just free falling down. Now, I'm not sure how good an idea it is to have a module that is shaped like a ball as a landing module, because surely you would hit the ground and just roll. You know? So I'm not sure how good an idea it is. I think we are definitely going to be landing over this desert. That's good. That's what we're aiming for. Oh, look, we can actually start deploying the chute at much higher altitude as well, at 15 kilometers up. That's good. We can now deploy the other one. Let's bring this down as safe as we can. And as we count down, having just achieved, these two heroes have just managed to achieve their first orbit around Kerbin. Absolutely brilliant. So we're descending down slowly, getting there bit by bit. So I'm not actually sure how far we are above the desert floor. So there we are, we're that far above. Okay, right. Continue on down. And I really hope this doesn't just roll away. We land on. If you land on a slope with this thing, you're going to roll away somewhere. That could be a real problem. We maybe need to rethink these spaceship designs, these rocket designs. I think a spherical pod is possibly not the best idea, not unless you put some landing legs on there or something. I might have to do that in the future. Actually, landing legs, that would stop it rolling. That is a good idea. I shall have to try and remember to do that for next time. I may forget by next time, and we may end up having a ball rolling down the hill. We never know. Depends on where you land. Hopefully, I mean, there's a mountain there, so I'm hoping the terrain, but this doesn't look too rocky around here. But there are some lower bits over there. I'm hoping the terrain isn't too sloped. Otherwise, we may end up be rolling for a while and could end up losing the pod if it rolls too fast and ends up getting damaged. Right, where is the sun? It's above us, so we can't... Where's our shadow? Where is our shadow gone? Oh, there it is. Okay, so we can see where we're coming up to now. Okay, let's slow it down because we don't want it to be rolling in super fast speed. We want it to stop. It's a little bit of a slope, but hopefully, yeah, it didn't roll away. That top bit there actually stopped it, acted a bit like a brake. So let's get some readings from out here as well. That would be a good idea. Log temperature, and we want some observations as well. We get crew report, and I think we can probably hop out as well. So. Oh, can't. It's obstructed. We can't roll it. Okay, no worries then. Let's recover that as well. We'll go back and see what we achieved. We should have gained quite a nice bit of recognition. And let's have that. We got 78 science. Excellent. We have 157 funds. Excellent, because I was worried about losing all those funds in upgrading the VAB and building this new rocket. But that puts us back on course. And we also have 64 repetition. That is good. That means we have done quite well there. We could upgrade that. I'm not sure. I would like to get to this stage next, so I'm going to have to think about how we're going to get some more science. I might need to do some more observations. Maybe we could send that craft up a couple more times and get some scientific observations from other parts of the world. But must remember to put landing legs on it. That would be important. Right, okay, so nothing from there as yet. I would like to upgrade some of these though. It looks like 150,000. That's really steep for what it is. That's 75,000. We don't need extra astronauts. Don't need to upgrade that as yet. And I don't think we need to upgrade that as yet. And that's still going to cost us a lot more. I mean, look at the prices on these. It's phenomenal prices. Okay, we're going to need to get a lot more stuff and a lot more contracts going, I think. So we got all of these here. Explore the Mun. I'm not ready to go to exploring the Mun just yet, so we won't pick that one up. I mean, I can take 2 more contracts here. What have we got here? They want us to take 4 astronauts into an orbit. We could do that. I wouldn't do it this time. I'll pick it up, but we'll do it next time. That would give us some more money anyway, at least, at the very least, and a bit more recognition, which some of the recognition is being converted into science. And we will do that next time. So I'm going to sign off there. I'm going to be streaming a couple more times this week. I'll be streaming tomorrow evening. That stream tomorrow, I am actually saying to people, don't come to my stream. You may say, that's a bit weird. Why not go to a stream? Why are you telling us not to go to a stream? And the reason I'm saying that is I'm streaming at the same time as Tierline. We're both doing some runs in dungeons tomorrow, and I'm just basically giving an alternative view. So go over to her channel if you were going to come here, but I know a lot of the people who watch us also watch her as well. Go over to her channel, be there, join in the chats there and everything else. And then if you're interested afterwards to see a different view, I'll have the videos from what I recorded from the stream available on Twitch itself, and I'll upload it to YouTube as well, and you'll be able to see the alternate view. I'll probably be doing some more streaming again later this week. I will definitely be doing some more streaming later this week. I plan to do maybe a bit more on Thursday. Maybe we'll have a look at more hunting some more of these this Litany of Blood that I started on the weekend, and try and see if we can find another 5 people for that. And then over the weekend as well, we got a trial run going in on Saturday, so I'm going to be providing an alternate view on that as well, and we'll do a few of other things there as well. But for now, I'm going to sign off. We'll try and find a channel that we can host at the moment. I know Tierlan was online. I will just see if she still is online. Yes, she is. So I'm going to host over to Tierline's channel here. Thank you very much for joining us, and if you're seeing this afterwards, thank you for checking out the video afterwards. I'm Draken, this is Draken-Game-Werks. Have a good evening. Well, I would be if it would let me send the host come up request. Ah, there we are.
Sorry guys if I'm not looking at the chat at the moment.